action.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is Dubs OT.
Can't wait.
With John Dickinson.
Hey, JD, what you up to, sugar? Long time no talk to.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live at knbr.com and on the KNBR app.
A.J. Mitchell running it back. Shea catching shoot three. Jimmy Butler knocked it away, but Hartenstein's everywhere grabbing rebounds. Got 6 boards and 6 points. And a nice feed to A.J. Mitchell to lay it up and in. And Steve Kerr is going to stop it here.
I wasn't sure we were going to have a highlight, and of course we didn't have a highlight. It was that kind of night for the Warriors. I'm thinking as we're opening the show, and typically we like to play a highlight from the Warriors on a night. Even when they lose, you can usually come up with something. But tonight, one of those nights where there was really nothing to come up with early, nothing to come up with often, and maybe the bench guys who closed out the fourth quarter and played pretty well after the Warriors found themselves down by 35 going to the fourth quarter. Maybe something from that group that played pretty well, led by Pat Spencer and Guy Santos and GP2. But alas, the Warriors lose again on the road. And we welcome you into Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. We'll be with you here for the next 90 minutes up until 9 o'clock. Breaking this one down as we always do. And my goodness, the Warriors lose a 6th consecutive game away from Chase Center after winning on opening night, which feels like it was about 3 months ago. It was actually only 3 weeks ago, believe it or not. But the Warriors able to win that game against the Lakers, and then they have lost every other road game that they have played to this point. Now, 6 consecutive. If you go back through Portland and Milwaukee and Indiana and Sacramento and Denver, and now tonight, the Warriors lose to begin this 6-game road trip in Oklahoma City. And the Thunder playing shorthanded themselves, by the way, without Jalen Williams, the Jalen Williams that is their second best player, not the Jalen Williams who did play and went for 12 points in 30 minutes tonight. 126-102 the final. And this was ugly. And it was ugly from the jump. And it was a game where Steph Curry returns. And it was supposed to, I think, in some ways be go time for the Warriors with Steph Curry back and kind of a reset, albeit against the team with the best record in the league and the defending champions who improved to 11-1. And the Warriors show tonight just how far away they are once again from the Oklahoma City Thunder, and just how far they are away from being a contender here on November 11th. Now, the good news is it's November 11th, but the bad news for the Warriors is they completely looked overmatched in this game against Oklahoma City. And I always like to start with, especially in these bigger games, you got to start with your best players. And the Warriors' 3 best players were among their worst players tonight. Steph Curry in his return in foul trouble all night, picks up the first flagrant foul of his career. And the Warriors are kind of hanging around in the first quarter, but this game was cooked in the final 6 seconds of the first quarter. Steve Kerr started the big lineup against the 2 big lineup that Oklahoma City will deploy, and the Warriors found themselves down 7 early at 21-14. They go on a 9-0 run, led by their bench after the starters get off to a poor beginning to this game. It was Jimmy Butler with Pajemski, Hield, Moody, TJD lead the Warriors back from that early deficit to a 2-point lead. Warriors were defending early, Thunder a little sloppy early. But the final 6 seconds of the first quarter did the Warriors in this game. Moses Moody hit a 3 that was originally counted at the shot clock buzzer, but disallowed upon review. So you don't get the 3 points there. And then Steph Curry fouls Isaiah Joe, and it winds up being a flagrant foul, but he fouls him on a 3 to close the quarter. The possession didn't matter because there was about a second to go, and the Thunder did not score. But the first flagrant foul of Stephen Curry's career, and the Warriors went from a 3-point game right there at the end of the quarter to being down 9 at the end of the quarter, and it was pretty much a wrap from that point on, as the group that started the second quarter got hammered a little bit. Thunder with a quick 7-0 run after Moses Moody had hit a 3. Just too many turnovers, lack of playmaking, lack of shooting, lack of defensive cohesion, allowing for a lot of wide open threes, and the Thunder are not the greatest 3-point shooting team in the game. But when you're as open as Oklahoma City was tonight, you're going to knock down a bunch of 3-pointers at a high clip, and that's exactly what Oklahoma City was able to do, and they do it in the second quarter, and they push out to a 20-point lead. The Warriors end up with 44 in the first half, which is the lowest scoring half for the Warriors in any game this season. And you're thinking, all right, are they going to come out with a little bit of passion, a little bit of heat in the third quarter? Thunder put a dynasty era third quarter thumping on the Warriors. Curry picked up a couple of fouls within the first 2 minutes of the third quarter. He had 5 fouls with 9:41 to go in the third quarter. More turnovers. TJD, I'm not sure why TJD's even playing at this point. Again, better with that group toward the end that finished the game, but 5 turnovers in the first 9 minutes that TJD was on the floor. Jonathan Kuminga actually got off to a decent start in this one, but then he ends up with 5 turnovers. Draymond Green's turning it over way too much. The Warriors, 20 turnovers, but 18 of them in the first 3 quarters of this game, and the Thunder wallop the Warriors in that third quarter, 44-28, to extend a 19-point lead all the way up to a 35-point lead. So it's 107-72 after 3. And at that point, again, we give the nod to the guys who finished the game and won the fourth quarter. But that irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, because Steph and Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green just didn't show up. And if the Warriors are going to make any kind of hay against any of the great teams in the NBA, tonight's not one of these nights where the Warriors don't have everybody. Tonight's not one of those nights where Stephen Curry is sick, or Draymond Green needs to take a night off, or Jimmy Butler's a little bit banged up. This is not the Sacramento game where everybody gets the night off, going back to last week. And this team just completely overmatched. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. That's the number to give us a call or shoot us a text here. It is Dubs OT with JD on the Sports Leader as the Warriors lose this one to the Thunder, 126-102. The Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line is open. The best YouTube chat in sports. We appreciate everybody following another one of these road blowout defeats, as the Warriors get beat in the first game of a back-to-back for the first time this season. And it is going to be a spirited conversation here tonight between now and 9 o'clock. But yeah, this game was basically in the books as far as I was concerned by the end of quarter number 1. When you look at the way that the game ended. And again, you look at Steph Curry, minus 23, 11 points, 1 of 5 from 3. 4 for 13 overall. Jimmy Butler, minus 15, played better with the bench guys than he did with the starters. Draymond Green, minus 21 in this game. Kuminga, minus 20. Podziemski, minus 21. Moses Moody, minus 25. I mean, it was really an all systems fail for the Warriors, with the exception of that group that finished the game, and that doesn't even matter. And you look at the bigger picture as Steve Kerr continues to tinker and search for the right lineups. And the Warriors just haven't played well in about 2 weeks for a number of different reasons. They trick away the games against Milwaukee and Indiana when they are close enough to full strength with Giannis and Tyrese Halliburton out. They play an ugly game in the second half that probably should have been a blowout against Phoenix, but do enough to win that game, but don't really play well throughout the course of that game, in particular the second half. They play pretty well for a half in Sacramento with none of the regulars and the veterans playing. They get blown out at Denver, and then they play pretty poorly for about 2.5 quarters against Indiana, who was missing, I think, 11 of their top 12 players on their roster, but turned that game into a blowout late to finally beat Indiana. But this team just has not played well in about 2 weeks. And you have to start to look at what can be done here in the midst of all these road games and in the midst of all of these back-to-backs and trying to get Steph back. And it's time to make some lineup changes. It's time to find some balance in terms of guys who can play offense and defense and play the best players who complement Steph and Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green the most minutes. Because this thing right now, and we can go on and on about it's early in the season and it's a road-heavy schedule and it's unfair, and I'm sick of that. I'm sick of it. I'm sick. I've been sick of it for 3-4 games now, all the whining about the schedule. The Warriors believe they built a team that could withstand the schedule that they have. And I know it is going to get easier with a lot of home games in January and the back end and all of that. But this team right now is in danger of letting this thing get away and facing a real uphill climb through the middle and end of December, and to where they're going to have to basically January 2nd get on a heater the way that they got on a heater last year, or the way that they got on a heater 2 years ago over the final half of the year, and hope that it doesn't burn them out to a point to where they break down come playoff time. This team just does not still have enough shooting or offensive creators. But you can't make trades right now. So this is going to be the team for all intents and purposes for the next 2 months at minimum. So I don't even really want to get into, well, they got to make a move. They got to make a move. They got to make a move. I think we can see they're going to have to make a move. They also, in the meantime, need to stop playing lineups that have 2 and 3 non-shooters out there at the same time. Again, at least to have a shot to get through the regular season with enough wins to avoid the play-in tournament. But Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green have to set the tone, have to play better. This team went 23-8 at the end of last year over the final 31 games because those 3 set the tone and everybody else came along and followed in their respective roles. And I get it. It's too much to ask over 82 for those 3 to carry it. But they've got to get more from those guys. They've got to get more from those guys to set the tone. Otherwise, this thing's in danger of slipping away. All right, enough of me. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. We got Kyle Haar in our Daly City studios. Kyle, let's get to the phones, and let's start it off here with Adam in San Jose up first. Adam, you're on the Sports Leader. It's Dubs OT with JD here on a night where they get thumped in OKC 126-102. What's going on, Adam?
Good evening, JD. I think the game plan is very simple for every team around the league. Blitz Steph, the rest will take care of itself. Let everybody else beat us because they know no one else can score on that team. No one else barely play defense. And then we need a solution at the center spot. Besides giving you 2 to 3 3-pointers a game, what is Quinton Post really good for? Horford, on the other hand, he's had 2 out of 11 decent games, but he's not available in back-to-backs. TJD, he shouldn't even be considered to be in any lineup. I mean, do you think we should just go back to Draymond playing center? Our defense, we can't stay in front of our man, which leads to fouling and gets the other team to the line. We're in foul trouble within the first 5 minutes of every quarter because we can't hold up. Even Draymond isn't playing at the same defensive level as he used to. And like I said, everyone seems to be blitzing Steph and allowing the rest to try to beat him, and we can't.
Short term, I think the answer is play Draymond at the 5. I think the best Warrior lineups for this team are lineups where Draymond is at the 5, unless you're going to start Horford. But the problem is they're trying to limit Horford's minutes to so much, Adam, that you really can't start Horford because it makes it too difficult to keep him around 20 minutes a game. I think Quinton Post is a bench player. I think, to me, what they're going to have to do is come up with the best two-way lineups that they can currently. And I think that means Draymond playing center, whether it's Kuminga at the 4 and Jimmy at the 3 with Moody or Pods and Steph. I think they have to go that route. I also think they need to, and I'm not blaming Kuminga here at all, but I also think they need to look at moving Kuminga to the bench because they're better lineups for Jimmy and Draymond are with, you can't play those guys and then have Kuminga if Kuminga's not going to be able to hit the outside shot out there at the same time. They need to go with a more balanced, a Moody. I mean, I keep coming back to their best lineup from last year was Steph, Podziemski, Moody, Jimmy, and Draymond. The problem is they really fear playing Draymond at the center spot and starting him at the center spot and having him, but I don't think they can function consistently well. And look, this team has not played well. They have not won when they've gone with the bigger lineups. Everybody wants the bigger lineups. And it just, they don't have enough creation or offense on the floor when they go to those bigger lineups. And so I think they have to go to smaller lineups. I think the smaller lineups work better for the regular season. And then you kind of match up as you need to once you get toward the bigger games or once you get toward the postseason. All of that, and thanks for the call, Adam. We got a bunch of people that want to talk, so we're going to keep it moving here. Steve Kerr telling reporters in Oklahoma City after the game that Draymond Green likely to get tomorrow night off. So it will be yet another starting lineup for the Warriors and going up against Wemby. And in this one will not feature Draymond, who has, in fairness to him, played in every game to this point this season. And Kerr saying to reporters again in Oklahoma City that he thinks Draymond needs a rest. And I'm sorry. I understand the thought process, but I put it out there on social media. I mean, does tonight not count as a veteran rest night? I mean, Steph and Jimmy and Draymond didn't show up. So how does that not – you can't get into these scenarios where you've got guys playing, you've got guys who don't show up, and then it's like, well, second of a back-to-back tomorrow, none of the vets can play. I mean, that's how you get into this, what the Lakers have been these last few years, what Miami with Jimmy Butler had turned into, where you just don't have enough on a night-in, night-out basis to win enough to be avoiding the play-in tournament. And so, I get it, but at the same time, I also think the Warriors have done a pretty poor job to this point in the season in the way that they've built the roster to help navigate giving guys the rest, and also in the way that they've kind of mapped out the nights to give players off. And so they find themselves having to take some lumps and rather than, going out and really trying to chase, some of these wins. So 808 KMBR 415-808-5627. Let's continue here on the phone lines. Harry on the 101 is up next here on the Sports Leader. What's going on tonight, Harry?
JD, what a gutless performance tonight. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it was. It was the first bona fide gutless performance. You took the words right out of my mouth, my man. It's tough to say that when you're going up against OKC, but yeah, hit it again, Kyle. Hit it again. Gutless. It was gutless. No doubt about it.
It's like you had rest. You're coming off a nice okay, people say it wasn't a nice win, but a win's a win. I'm going to take it no matter what we do. But you're going to Oklahoma City. You know what? You want to show what you can do? No, gutless, absolutely gutless tonight. And are we overvaluing this team? Like, are we overvaluing how they are perceived in the Western Conference? We think this is a top 6 seed? I don't think so. I mean, come on. Really? Not
They're not.
tonight.
They're not right now. They're not even close at this point. They're not. I mean, OKC is better than them. The Spurs are better than them. Denver's better than them. The Lakers are better than them. Houston's better than them. Minnesota's better than them at a minimum. That's 6 teams right there that are clear cut. And I know the Warriors beat the Lakers without LeBron on opening night, but the Lakers have gone 8-2 in the last 10 games since the Warriors beat them. So I think that's a favorable head-to-head matchup, maybe, especially when LeBron doesn't play. The Warriors always kind of get up for that game. And since Luka got traded there, the Warriors have looked pretty comfortable against the Lakers. But I'm sorry, the Lakers are one of these teams that's trying to figure out how to navigate having, some veteran guys and LeBron, who they haven't even had yet, and win games. And they've been able to do it to the tune of 8-3 here to begin the year. So no, the Warriors at this point look like they're basically in the exact same position they were in a year ago, which is not where you want to be, because you have Jimmy Butler now, and having Jimmy Butler was supposed to mitigate some of these, regular season slumps to a point where you're basically a 500 team, slightly above, slightly below, and have to get hot over the final third of the season just to maybe get to 10 or just to maybe get to 6, and you still end up 7 last year. I mean, this team's not going to be able to get to the ultimate goal the way that they're going right now. And I know they got a ton of games at home in January and all that, but if you're 5-6 games under 500 at that point, then all you're going to do is expend a ton of energy in an attempt to get to a point where, again, you're probably still going to be a play-in team because of how poorly you played at the beginning of the year.
And it's amazing how, we think that a 35-year-old and a 35-year-old and a 37-year-old who's in a championship core. It's ridiculous to think that this team's a championship team. Not after tonight. Not after that gutless performance. And one more thing.
They're not. No, they are not.
Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I'm going to let you get the last word.
And the experiment of Jonathan Kuminga starting, it's over. It's not going to work. Go back to last year. Steve Kerr said it. Have a great night.
Yep, thanks for the call. Good stuff, Harry. 808-KMBR, 415-808-5627. Dubs OT, we're off and rolling. We'll get to the best YouTube chat in sports. We'll get to the Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line. We'll get to Reggie and Vallejo coming up right out of the gate here. It is time to move Jonathan Kuminga to the bench. I'm not putting it on Jonathan Kuminga as if any of this is his fault. It's probably the fifth thing right now at the top of the list that are the Warriors' problems, but it's a solution-oriented show here tonight, and I think part of the solution for the Warriors is to go to more balanced lineups in guys that can defend and shoot the ball and keep it moving around Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green when Draymond's out there. Kuminga, I think, originally was going to be in kind of a super sub role had Moses Moody not got hurt. He earned the right to be able to start. It's time to shake it up. And I think for Steve Kerr, it's time to go to that lineup that was the best Warriors starting 5. Maybe not tomorrow because Draymond's not going to play, but beginning Friday against San Antonio, play your best groups, find a 20 to 25 minute role for Draymond Green. For Jonathan Kuminga off the bench on Friday, and start to move forward from there. All right, let's take a quick timeout. Warriors lose this one 126-102. We're talking about it right here on the Sports Leader.
Live from downtown.
Curry, way downtown. Bang!
This is Dubs OT with John Dickinson on the Sports Leader. Streaming live at knbr.com and on the KNBR app.
This was a three-point game with 6 seconds left in the first quarter. It became 9 with the clock stopped. And the Thunder have just springboarded into the second quarter. And now a technical foul on Draymond. Draymond's been on him the whole game.
And Draymond picking up the tech there. Warriors lose in OKC. 126-102 is the final. So they are 6-6. They've dropped their 6th consecutive road game. Now 1-6 on the road for the Warriors. 5-0 at home for Golden State, but they get beat by OKC 126-102. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. That is the number to jump in and join the conversation as the Warriors lose here again, and they are not playing well. For the most part, haven't played well in 2 weeks, and they got to get it going and figure out a way to withstand this stretch here that will see them play 5 more games on the road, couple of games in San Antonio, then they play the Pelicans, then they move forward after that and play Orlando and Miami. 808 KNBR, as promised, we'll get into the YouTube chat. Kyle's Clicks coming up here in just a moment, but let's get back to the phones and start this segment with Reggie and Vallejo on the Sports Leader. What's going on, Reggie?
Hey, what's up, JD? What's up, Kyle? Yeah, I have a couple points, but I'm just frustrated with the past couple games. Like you were saying, I feel like we haven't seen the Warriors play good quality basketball in the past 2 weeks, or I don't even know how long now. I just feel like the first five games in the season, I thought we were like in this illusion thinking that we're a championship contender, and the offense just being played through Steph and Draymond and Jimmy. There was never another clear punch elsewhere aside from Steph and Jimmy. And I'm also starting to realize that Jimmy maybe isn't an actual clear-cut scorer, but he's kind of like somebody that wants to get others involved, and then he just has that dog mentality some games where he can get you like 30 points in a game and win you that game. But I don't think he's a type of person to, on a night in, night out basis, to average 20 points per game. Because just like tonight, he took 3 field goals, JD. I mean, that's not an aggressive Jimmy Butler. That's not a number 2 option that you want to see with those type of results. I mean, I just want to hear what you think about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, you said it, 3 shots. I mean, that's not nearly enough of what this team needs from him. And look, it doesn't have to be 30 a night or even 30, once in a while. I mean, it just has to be more of an aggressiveness to look to. It could be 18 to 20, but look to get his shot a little bit more aggressively. I also think the thing that we're seeing is there are just certain types of players that have to be on the court with Jimmy Butler for Jimmy Butler to be his most effective. And I think at times when maybe there isn't enough shooting on the court, we're expecting Jimmy to take over, and Jimmy just he just plays his normal game, and the Warriors are sort of left exposed by the other players who are on the court. And at times, I think the 2 players that have found themselves the most vulnerable in those situations have been Brandon Pajemski, who gets the ball on the kick out and doesn't know often whether he wants to shoot or drive or kick it back to somebody else. And he's just all kinds of out of sync and has been for the most part since the season started. And the other one is Jonathan Kuminga, who, played well those first probably 6 or 7 games in his role, but it hasn't been the same Jonathan Kuminga. And I just think the catch and shoot type players are the players that have to be out there the most with Jimmy Butler. And Pajemski, for all of the things that he does, is not one of those players right now. And Kuminga, for all of the things that he does and has done, and I do think deserves credit for doing, especially, the first week and a half or so of the season. It's been a little different maybe the last week and a half. But for all the things he does, he's not one of those types of players either. So I think it has to be in the short term, more Moses Moody, more Will Richard, I think, potentially, more Quentin Post, more Al Horford on the floor when Jimmy Butler's on the floor, because it's the guys that he can kick it to, that can drive a closeout or hit the open shot or swing the ball to keep it moving, and maybe it gets back to Steph. And I think, because Podziemski's been so out of sorts and Kuminga just doesn't naturally do it, even though he's trying, they're just left stagnating on offense far too often. And they're not really playing to Jimmy's strengths, when Jimmy isn't looking to be super aggressive with his own shot.
Right. JD, just one more point. With the offense, You're talking about just being so lethargic. I have maybe a couple solutions because we're a solution-oriented show. I heard you say moving JK to the bench because there's just no type of rhythm. I feel like there's no other shot creators off the bench. I think they can use that. This is kind of a hot take, but how would you feel about Will Richard and Moody starting alongside Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond? Because I think with the offense currently constructed with this lineup, there's too many quote-unquote, Steve Kerr likes to call them connectors or whatever you call them, and there's not actual like spacers or shot creators. There's barely any shot creators on this team besides Steph. I don't know anybody else that can really create something off the dribble other than maybe Jimmy sometimes, but his shot is he depends on getting a foul call. I don't know. I just think, I know you talked about like, we can't talk about making moves right now because this is the team we have until the deadline. And right now, I think Kerr, it's dangerous that he's searching for lineups and combinations that work because they haven't been effective.
No, they haven't. And I don't think it's that much of a hot take to think Moody for sure. Moody's got to be in there. And I know the plus minus I thought tonight for Moody didn't reflect how well he played. I mean, everybody for the most part, except for that last group, played poorly and got beat, at least in their time on the floor. But I think Moody was going to be a starter at the beginning of the year had he not gotten hurt in training camp. And so I think Moody goes into the starting lineup. And honestly, I don't think starting Will Richard is that crazy. He is like Moody in the sense where he's been to this point a catch and shoot type player, and he's just going to look to make the simple play. If he gets a kick out and he's guarded, he's going to either look to drive or he's going to look to keep it moving, and they're going to try to pass the ball around the horn and get it back to Jimmy or get it to Steph or whatever that is. So I think Moody for sure. And I'm not really arguing with you as it relates, Reggie, to Will Richard getting a shot, because I think one of the revelations of the early part of the season is the fact that he looks very comfortable playing in any lineup, and the Warriors need more guys who are comfortable playing in any lineup. They don't have enough of those guys. They have guys that can function in certain lineups, or if everything is just right for them. And the reality is there's only 3 players on this Warriors roster that really earn the ability to have everything kind of fall in line around them. And it's Steph and it's Jimmy and it's Draymond. So I actually like the idea. It does hurt if the Warriors are going to be going up against bigger teams. Maybe San Antonio's not the team to start doing that against, but I think this team has to get back to playing some of the lineups that have worked most effectively since the trade. And I think that means they're going to have to look at playing Draymond Green more at the center spot, despite the fact they're worried about wearing him out. Thanks for the call, Reggie.
Thanks, JD. Appreciate you.
All right. Appreciate it. 808 KMBR 415-808-5627. Dubs OT rolling on here with JD here on the Sports Leader as the Warriors lose to the Thunder 126-102. We are reacting to it here on this Tuesday night, as we always do. Let's get to the YouTube chat. Kyle's Clicks, the best YouTube chat in sports. And Kyle, what do we got tonight? It's a fired up crew here tonight on the phone lines. Rebel to Sounds. It was like if the Warriors knew no matter what they were going to lose. Yeah, the effort was just, I mean, this is, look, the Thunder are better than the Warriors. The Thunder, even down Jalen Williams, are probably still better than the Warriors. I mean, they proved it tonight, but the fact that Steph Curry comes back after this team had given away a bunch of games, in part because he wasn't healthy, and in part the games that they gave up before he got sick or while he got sick in Indy and Milwaukee. I mean, to me, if you're the Warriors, you're coming out and you're really thinking, this is a team you beat 2 out of 3 times before the Jimmy Butler trade last year. And so to come out and be so non-competitive, I think is extremely disappointing. And yeah, I'm with you. I mean, the Warriors played and by the way, you're not going to want to miss what Draymond Green had to say as well in the post game. We may play that before we get to Sounds of Dubs OT, because it was that good. And I kind of wonder, who exactly is Draymond Green talking about here? So maybe an early edition of Sounds of Dubs OT here tonight on the Sports Leader. All right, let's continue on here in the YouTube chat. Up next, Jeff's cool. OKC is bigger, faster, younger, smarter, more skilled, and better coach. The old Dubs showed their age. Where is the hope, JD? Well, the hope is that they can, in the short term, find a little bit of what they had in February, March, and April after the Jimmy Butler trade. That in the short term is, I think, the only hope you can have. Championships are not won in November. Now, championships can be lost in November. I think that's potentially true. But championships are not going to be won in November. So there is time for the Warriors to figure this thing out moving forward here. But it's going to have to start with, and this is why I don't like the fact, and by the way, somebody on the Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line reminding me, and I appreciate it, that Draymond did play or did take the game off in Sacramento last week. So Draymond has not played. I think I said Draymond's played. He's played in all games except for that one in Sacramento where the Warriors got beat. So it's why I don't like giving anybody a night off tomorrow in the second of a back-to-back. I think tonight was a pseudo night off for everybody. Nobody played extended minutes. Nobody played well. To me, it's kind of a get your butt back out there and try to compete again tomorrow and get one of these games back. But I think in the short term, the hope is that they can find some lineups that are similar to the ones that they were successful with last year in the regular season, and that can help stem the tide here, because it truly right now is about just staying at 500, I think, for this time that they're on the road, and for this time that they're going to be playing all these road games up until really New Year's, when they come home, and they got a ton of home games to begin the new year. So, but yeah, they were overmatched tonight. We talked about the Niners defense being overmatched against the Rams. The Warriors, all told, were completely overmatched tonight in Oklahoma City. All right, let's move on. JC Mack, OKC is bigger, faster, younger, smarter, and more skilled. No amount of Melton or Horford can save us. Where is the hope, JD? Where have I heard that one before? Melton will help, but Melton is not going to be any kind of a savior. And Melton is going to be somebody that's going to be playing 20 to 25 minutes, and not every night. He's another one of these players that's going to be taking some nights off and getting his rest nights because the Warriors want to keep him healthy and available for a playoff run. The problem for the Warriors right now is the fact that they don't look like they can be good enough in the regular season to where there's going to be any position of a semblance of a playoff run. You know, if you're playing out of the 7 hole in a Western Conference that may very well be better, at least in the top 6. I don't know if they're better 1 through 10, but they may be better in the top 6 than they were a year ago. And things are already here now, 3 weeks in, starting to take shape a little bit. But no, this team is going to have to make a move. I know I'm reluctant, and I mentioned it to one of the callers. Here's the reality. The trade that you can't trade Jonathan Kuminga for 2 more months. So who are the Warriors really going to, if the Warriors are going to make a trade, who are they really going to trade if they want to look to make a trade? They're going to look at moving Kuminga. They're going to look at maybe moving Pods, who, by the way, Pods doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of value at this particular point in time, given the way that he's played on such a low money contract to this point. You'd be looking at maybe trying to put Buddy Hield in a deal to salary match for maybe a more expensive player. Like, it's way too early to be looking at trades right now. This team has to figure out what they can do with the roster that they have. So I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole probably until about Christmas, because it just is futile, especially considering the fact that they can't even trade Kuminga if they wanted to for 2 months more. All right, continuing on here on our Kyle's Clicks portion of the show. 808 KNBR, Florida Dubs fan. JD, this team appeared like the Walking Dead after only 10 games. Need JK off the bench. Will starting. Kerr has tried everything else. To me, it needs to be Steph, Podziemski, Moody, Jimmy, and Draymond as the regular starters, or it needs to be Steph, Richard, Moody, Butler, and Draymond as the starting lineup going forward. Bring Kuminga off the bench. Keep him engaged and trying to continue to do the things that he's done to begin the season, because I do still think he's trying. He's just been less effective at it compared to the first week and a half of the season, the last week and a half of the season. It's just been different. But, yeah, it's time for, again, maybe not tomorrow because Draymond isn't going to play. And if Draymond isn't going to play, what do? I think you probably go with Steph, Moody, Butler, Kuminga, and Post. I probably would go one more game with Kuminga out there, and you got to go with Quentin Post, I think, to begin the game if you're not going to have Draymond, if he's going to get the night off. And then Horford's going to back up Post. And then what do you do against Wemby? And you kind of, make everything go from that point in time. But, yeah, the one of those two lineups is one of the lineups that I would go with at this particular point. All right, continuing forward here. Andis Brown, always great to hear from Andis. Dang, Dre kind of questioning if everyone on the team is committed to winning and bringing up personal agenda post-game. All right, we can't let that go any further in terms of teasing it. So, Kyle, we don't need to play the sounds of Dubs OT. We'll play a bunch of other clips coming up later. But let's just go ahead and play what Draymond Green had to say. He was asked post-game in Oklahoma City about the difference between the 23-8 finish after the Jimmy Butler trade last year and the beginning of this year with this team 6-6. Here's what Draymond had to say.
I think everybody was committed to winning and doing that any way possible. And right now, it doesn't feel that way.
So who's not committed? That's what my question would be. Who's not committed at this particular point in time? That's what I would want to know. Like, who is Draymond talking about? Is he I mean, we'll throw it out there in the chat. 808 KNBR, you hear that from Draymond Green. Who is Draymond Green talking about? Is he talking about Jonathan Kuminga? Is he talking about Brandon Podziemski? Give me the keys to the franchise after Steph's gone. I mean, who could he's not talking about Steph. I don't think he's talking about himself. Rich Ray, Jimmy. Is he talking about, could it be Jimmy Butler? Like, who is he talking about? I mean, to me, the top two are Kuminga, Podziemski. I mean, I don't know. Jimmy Butler seems pretty committed. I don't know. I think everyone was committed to winning and doing that any way possible. Right now, it doesn't feel that way. He's talking about Steve Kerr. Joke's on you. Stop trying to make fetch happen. Put Kuminga on the bench. If you don't think Steve Kerr doesn't want to put Jonathan Kuminga on the bench, then you're not following Steve Kerr. Like, I think Steve Kerr's probably wanted to put Jonathan Kuminga on the bench for the last couple of games. But the reason he hasn't is because, and let's just be honest, the Warriors have to keep appearances up with Jonathan Kuminga. They have to keep it up as if everything's harmonious so they can move him at the deadline. And again, I don't want to go down this path. I mean, my take on Kuminga. I think he's tried to do things the right way. I don't want to put this on him because while he has not played as well during the stretch in which the Warriors have gone from 4-1 to 6-6, I don't think he's played that poorly to where you can say, oh, it's Jonathan Kuminga's fault. So I definitely don't want that to come off as blame shifting towards him. Daryl Lightfoot. JD's talking about Jimmy 3 shots. Fair. It could be. I mean, Jimmy would probably be the number 3 player that I would be wondering about in this instance as it relates to who he's talking about. It's not Steph. He's not talking about himself. I don't think he's talking about Quentin Post, Florida Dubs fan. I think he's talking about just about everyone except himself, Steph, and maybe Jimmy. I don't know. I don't see Jimmy having an agenda or not being committed. Maybe I've got blinders on, but I just don't think it's been, Jimmy. I don't think Jimmy's been weird or, missing time and taking PTO and unhappy and some of the things that we've seen from Jimmy when Jimmy has struggled. I don't think this is that. To me, there's two. The most likely candidates are Kuminga and Pods. Kuminga and Pods. Because he's not talking about Moody. Max Lopez. Dre doesn't even know who he's talking about. He's just PO'd. Okay. Fair enough. Let's continue on. More thoughts on this. Who is Draymond Green talking about? Let's play it one more time, Kyle, and then we'll get back to more Kyle's clicks. Here's Draymond Green again post-game in Oklahoma City talking about the difference between, the question was, what's been the difference between the 23-8 to close the year after the Jimmy Butler trade and the 6-6 start to this year? Here's Draymond.
I think everybody was committed to winning and doing that any way possible. And right now, it doesn't feel that way.
Okay. Again, you only those in the know, but it's going to be interesting to see if there's any more reporting. It could be general frustration. But let me tell you one thing. Those are the kinds of comments that when they're made, those are the kinds of things that can fracture a team when they're in a tough place. And I don't care if they are coming from one of the leaders of the Warriors dynasty and a future Hall of Famer and all of those kinds of things. Those are the kinds of things that can lead to a potential fracture in a locker room when that stuff is being questioned, independent of who the heck it is that's being called out. But it's interesting because I haven't seen that commitment. Buddy, Mickey D says Buddy looks frustrated. Maybe Buddy. Well, Buddy Hield's an easy one. Digum 117, and this is a fair point, and I'm sure a lot of Warrior fans are thinking of this too. How can Draymond, the most toxic player on this team the last few years, say this? Well, because he is a leader and a future Hall of Famer. I mean, that's just reality. I mean, Draymond's resume is Draymond's resume in terms of the things that he's brought to the table that have cast a negative light on the team or the organization. But Draymond's the guy to say it because Draymond's the guy that's going to be the most honest most of the time. All right, what else do we have here? Fast entertainment. It's time to move on from these specialists and connectors and bring in some real hoopers. This team needs more shooting, and they need another playmaker. They need an offensive creator. The bottom line is they need they need somebody in the regular season that can just get buckets, that the ball can get kicked to them and they can just go get a freaking bucket. And maybe that isn't the Steve Kerr most beloved type player. Maybe it isn't somebody that's going to play this beautiful basketball all the time. But they need to lessen their margin for error in the regular season. I don't even think that the guy that they need to get has to be somebody that's a playoff level contributor, but it's somebody that can help them slog through games in Milwaukee and Indiana and against the Kings and at home against Phoenix and Indiana to where you're not sweating it out with a quarter to go that you might lose or do lose, as they did in Sacramento, Indiana, and Milwaukee. I forget who it was in the chat, and Kyle, maybe you can find it, but the question regarding, or the comment regarding a consolidation trade. The Warriors are going to have to take some pieces, package them together, and go get one or two players that can be bona fide nightly rotation players. I do think that's where this thing is headed. Like, they need an infusion, honestly. And again, I say I'm not going to talk about it, then I start talking about it. It's not coming anytime soon. It can't. But this team is going to, I think, have to have an infusion right around the midway point once they can look to make some moves that galvanizes them to get all on the same page and get on a run, because they're playing so poorly right now that they're going to have to get on a major heater come January, February, and March. And it's not to say they can't, but you need to be very careful, because once you get to 500, as the Warriors already are, and start to dip a little bit below the 500 mark, you find yourself where you're kind of one injury away from getting buried a little bit and being 4 or 5 under. And then all of a sudden you got to go 9-3 just to be 500 again. Now all of a sudden you got to go 8-4, and that's just death. That's where you're basically going to be a play-in team no matter what. Max Lopez, Jimmy's contract is irrelevant unless you think you could have gotten anybody or any combination better, but this team is deeply pinned against the cap either way. Yeah, and they are hard capped based on the moves that they made at what, the first apron, I believe they're hard capped. It's why they can't add Steph Curry. Not that Steph Curry currently is going to be able to help them, but they are going to have to make some moves, and they can't take any more salary basically back than they give out. So it's going to have to be creative. But yeah, it's interesting to kind of wonder what the heck Draymond Green is talking about there. All right, let's take a quick timeout. Let's do one more. We'll do one more. We'll do jokes on you. JD, this team is not serious. How can a team whose core player can't play together every night because of age get any chemistry? Horford every other day, Dre out of shape, Jimmy no buckets. Yeah, I mean, they have to come up with some semblance of a short-term plan here to get through the remainder of November, which, by the way, is still, there's 3 weeks to go in November, and then you've got all of December before things start to turn a little bit. And I'm sorry, I don't think this is nothing. This is not early season, whine about the schedule, hard to find motivation. This is a team that considers themselves a championship contender. So, again, you're not going to win the title November 11th, but you sure as heck can lose the title in November and December if you can't get off the schneid to a little bit of a greater extent here with some urgency quick, fast, and in a hurry. All right, let's take a quick timeout. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Great conversation tonight as the Warriors get thumped in Oklahoma City, 126-102, the final there. We'll come back. Might hear that Draymond Green clip one more time as part of our Sounds of Dubs OT. More from the YouTube chat. The Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line is open, and we can get to a couple of more phone calls as well at 808-KNBR, 415-808-5627 as Dubs OT with JD rolls on right here on the Sports Leader.
Dub Nation, this is the real and inside story on Warriors basketball. Dubs OT with John Dickinson continues. Streaming live at twitch.tv/thesportsleader.
Kuminga saw the rotation. Williams sent him away, but Will Richard, where there's a will, there's a three even, twice. I like it. You got to rhyme it, though. Come on now. I don't know. I just the will, there's a way thing. I'm just playing off of it. Jalen Williams is now killing the Warriors. And Steve Kerr is going to take a timeout.
I think everybody was committed to winning and doing that any way possible. And right now, it doesn't feel that way.
Wow, what's changed for the Warriors during this stretch now after the 4-1 start? They are 6-6, so do the math on that. 2-5 in the last 7 after the 4-1 start. 1-6 on the road. They've dropped 6 straight road games and fall tonight in Oklahoma City, 126-102. We're back here. It's Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. If you want to jump in and join the conversation, who do you think Draymond Green is talking about? I think Jonathan Kuminga and Brandon Pajemski are the top 2 players that I think he's referring to. But man, I mean, everything was such a positive as the Warriors began the season relating to Jonathan Kuminga. Is he talking about Jimmy Butler? I don't think he's talking about Jimmy Butler and the need maybe for Jimmy Butler to need to be more aggressive. I really don't think he'd be calling out Jimmy at this point for not being committed to winning. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Buddy Hield. I mean, again, I don't think he's talking about Quentin Post or Moses Moody or Will Richard or GP2 or anybody else. So there really is, I mean, on such a thin roster with such a small amount of players, who could he be talking about? We're talking about that here tonight on Dubs OT here on the Sports Leader. Let's continue on with more in the YouTube chat. It's been a great YouTube chat night here with a lot of real good comments, a lot of people frustrated with the way the Warriors are playing. We try to be a solution-oriented show. I think it's time for Steve Kerr to go to some of the lineups that have been more effective, even if they are maybe some of the smaller lineups that the Warriors can deploy. I think they need more balance with respect to the guys that can play offensively and defensively, playing the most minutes here moving forward. Florida Dubs fan, it was over after the first. We are nowhere near them skill-wise. Anyone saying we are winning a championship must be high, too small, too old, and now too untalented. Yeah, I mean, this team is not by any stretch a title contender at this point. I mean, until further notice. Can they get there? Sure. I don't think they can get there with the current roster composition. And that's not to say that they don't have enough good players or players that can fit. But I think, to me, when you look at it, I mean, it's Steph, it's Jimmy, it's Draymond, it's Moody, I think, is somebody that can play right now. Will Richard is somebody that I think right now can play. And then you continue to move forward off of that. Quentin Post can play, I think, in his role. Horford is somebody that can play in his role. But Kuminga and Pajemski are the two here that I think he's talking about. And those are the two where, forget about, both of those guys have been able to play, even when they haven't played their best, they've been able to contribute enough to where they haven't just absolutely killed the Warriors for long stretches. Even Kuminga, as maligned as he's been some of the time, Pajemski, I think, is playing even worse to begin this year than he was to begin last year. So to me, it's those two, right? If you look at Steph and Jimmy and Draymond, and the young guys with the most upside are basically Kuminga and Pajemski, and those guys are just not fulfilling their end of this thing. No way he's talking about JK, who wasn't part of the end of last season. It has to be someone who was part of that and is part of it now. Well, I actually disagree with that because I think Kuminga not being a part of it could be part of the statement in essence that, hey, Kuminga was not a part of it and everybody was rolling, and now he is a part of it and he doesn't fit. And that's kind of mucking everything up a little bit. So I actually don't think, everybody was committed potentially in part by the fact that Kuminga wasn't there. And that made it easier maybe for everybody to be committed. So I don't necessarily think that Kuminga not being a part of last year rules him out from being somebody that Draymond would be talking about in this particular instance. All right, let's get another one in here. Sear, why are we the only team that's always searching for lineups? Seems like the only time other teams change their lineup is when a player gets injured. The problem is the Warriors have too many like players. The Warriors have too many like players in terms of skill set and in terms of overall talent. And so Steve tries to give everybody he possibly can some run because there aren't clear-cut talent leaders beyond the big three, basically, in terms of their impact. So Kerr tinkers and tries to reward players who do things well at practice and bring the right attitude. And I think part of it too is the fact that the Warriors, they are this deep team. And when you're deep, you feel like you have to use all the depth. And look, this is a familiar problem. It was a problem last year. It was a problem a couple of years ago. I mean, every year the Warriors talk about all this depth, and then you look up and a lot of nights they just don't have enough good players, capable that are playing, that are stepping up and that are filling the void in ways where it needs to be filled. So, but when you have players that are similar in terms of talent level, it makes it harder to carve out a set rotation. And Max, you're right. It's been like this for 4 years, 10 equal players who'd be 8th and down on other rosters. It goes back to just, Moody, I think everybody can agree needs to be playing. Like Moody should be a starter beginning tomorrow night. Moses Moody's a starter. So that's 4 of your 5 starters right there. The problem is, again, it's this positional thing where their best lineups are Draymond at the 5, but they don't want to play Draymond at the 5 for 82 games. And again, Draymond's probably not playing tomorrow because of the back-to-back, and Steve Kerr said as much at his post-game press conference. But there's all these rules, right? You go get Horford, but then you're not playing Horford in back-to-backs because he's 39 years old, and you want to limit him to 20 minutes a game. So to limit him to 20 minutes a game, you can't really start him because then you're only playing him the first 5 and the last 5 of each half to get his 20 minutes in. So you're kind of stuck there. And if you start him with Draymond and Jimmy, then that means who's your 2 guard? And if you think your 2 guard's Moody, then Podziemski and Kuminga are both coming off the bench. Like they have these inequitable demands of their best lineup is X. They don't want to play Draymond at center, so then they have to play Quentin Post, and then you're playing Quentin Post, and then you're bringing Horford off the bench. Like there's just so many damn things that they're trying to factor into every single lineup that it winds up, 10, 11 guys are playing, and the right guys are not playing nearly enough of the minutes overall. All right, from Max, we move to our next one. What do we have here, Kyle? Ian J, I'll say it again. It's hard to build a championship roster with second-round picks and vet minimum contracts. No question. That is fair. And I think if there is one flaw, the Warriors may have overvalued the 23-8 finish to last year. And we talked about it a lot while it was happening. We talked about it a lot last year while it was happening, the fact that the 31-game end of the year was not necessarily something that would be able to be replicated over an 82-game schedule. Because Jimmy and Steph and Draymond had to play so hard to lead that it's just not realistic to think that they'd be able to do that over the course of a long season. And so the big three are too old to bring that level. And then the young players and the role players just aren't good enough to carry or fill the gaps. But again, they thought they had it balanced. And I think they overvalued or either overvalued what that group did at the end of last year or overvalued at a minimum the ability for it to be replicated over the course of an 82. They just lack a creator, and they still, for all the guys that they think they've added, Horford, who hasn't shot well other than a couple of games, they don't have the shooting. They just don't have the shooting that they need to be able to make this thing flow and not have to work so damn hard in the regular season. But yeah, to that point it is, and that's why they're going to have to make a trade. Second round picks and vet minimum contracts, they're going to have to make a trade at some point here moving forward. La Pelota and La Cabeza. Before this trip, I said I was happy if the Warriors won 2 games, as much as today was horrible. Oklahoma City also played the best game of the season, according to OKC TV. They did. Look, they saw the Warriors roster come, the Warriors, on the jersey come in. They saw the Warriors logo come into their building as defending champs, and they turned it up just like Indiana turns it up, and Milwaukee turns it up, and Sacramento turns it up, and everybody else turns it up. Portland, when the Warriors come in. So what? Again, and yeah, would you take 2 and 4? Sure, you would take 2 and 4 at this point. But now, now you look at it, it's what? You already took an L, so you want to get 2. Now you got to go 2 and 3, and at that point, you're what, 8 and 9 coming back home. I think you would sign up for that at this stage if you're the Warriors. Just don't get separated from 500, which is not something that I think the Warriors knew the beginning of this season was going to be difficult. I do not think they thought that this was going to be a scenario where they were going to be struggling in the early part of the season to stay at or above 500. I do not think they believe that. It just hit like a ton of bricks after the game against the Clippers 2 weeks ago. They got to 4-1, 5 games in 8 nights. They were working hard to have to get it, and it just, like, they go to Milwaukee, no Giannis. They go to Indiana, no Halliburton, and they just are flat. Just flatter than a pancake, man. Like, they just got nothing in the tank, and then Steph's sick, and now he's got to miss some games, and then you're playing some better teams, and then the whole thing just kind of snowballs. And it's November 11th, but it feels like the dog days of January before the Warriors have made a trade last year, which is unfortunate. Rich Ray, Coach Kerr and the boys will figure it out during this road trip. Egos won't allow these blowouts to continue. Yeah, as long as everybody's on the same page. As long as everybody's on the same page as it relates to being committed to winning, to go back to what Draymond had to say in the post-game press conference in Oklahoma City. From Rich Ray, we move to Digum 117. Jimmy gets players involved who miss their open shots or pass them up. Been too much of that. But Jimmy's got to take more than 3 shots. Like, Jimmy's got to be more aggressive in looking for his shot. Like, that's just reality. Like, Jimmy is not somebody that's completely without some blame here. Like, he has to look to, I'm not saying he's got to be playoff Jimmy or trying to get 30 a night, but Jimmy Butler should be scoring 20 a night. Like, Jimmy Butler should be taking double digits in shots a night. Like, I don't think it's crazy to say Jimmy Butler should be taking 12 shots a night. Even if it's not 17, even if it's not 20 or 22, I get it. It can be pretty efficient, but Jimmy Butler's got to be taking more than 3 shots. I don't care how many assists he winds up with. That's just honestly unacceptable. And to that point, everybody has to be able to find a way to fill in around Jimmy and get the spacing right and knock down the open shots and keep the ball moving if players get closed out on the like. JMU 22, keyword is team. They're not playing like a team. Yeah, they've been very disconnected. extremely disconnected as a group, really on both sides. I don't know how they have a top 6 defense coming into this game. It's been a couple of really good defensive games that have kind of saved it. I do not feel like their defense has been good, with the exception of a couple of games at any point. Like tonight, it was dribble penetration. Tonight, it was overhelping. Tonight, it was giving too much room on the 3-point shot. All of those things. But the offense, to me, still, you should be able to get through the regular season with your offense in the NBA. And the Warriors just don't have enough offense around Steph and Jimmy to be able to make it through somewhat swimmingly. Let's move forward here. Bennett Roth, is OKC just that good, or is GSW that bad? I mean, I think OKC is that good. I don't think, but like, I don't look at a night like tonight and go, oh, well, the Warriors would get beat 4-0 in a series and be blown out in every game at full strength against the Thunder in a playoff series. I look at tonight and say the Warriors would not beat Oklahoma City in a playoff series, but would they lose 4-2? Would they lose 4-1? I mean, I don't know. I think they'd come up with a better effort in a playoff series than they do in a random game in November, when Steph is coming off of missing 3 games and still looks like he's a little bit under the weather at different times. But OKC is that good. OKC is that good. But the problem is the Warriors look like they're just not on the Thunder's level. And if you're not on the Thunder's level, then forget about the rest of it. I mean, you're talking second round and out. You're talking, potentially first round and out if you're a play-in team, especially when you look at how good the top 5 or 6 are in the Western Conference at this point. But no, OKC's really good. I mean, they didn't even have their second best player tonight. I mean, how freaking good was Chet Holmgren tonight? 23 and 11, 9 for 9 shooting in 25 minutes. Yeah, 23 and 11 in 25 minutes on 9 for 9 shooting. I mean, it was SGA and Chet and Kassan Wallace plus 25. They're 3 best players right there on the team. Caruso came in plus 25 in 15 minutes. So you are as good as your best players, and the Thunder best players tonight set that tone, and the Warriors best players tonight did not. JC Mack, Dubs were overmatched. If this is so, just trade everyone and rebuild. Well, you're not going rebuild, but I do think they need to look, as we've talked about, at compiling a few players together to try to bring somebody else in that can give them some regular season scoring punch around Steph and around Jimmy in particular, that can play with some of the other guys they have on the roster, but also just, Kobe White, type of a player, somebody that can hit some shots. I don't love, Jordan Clarkson's with the Knicks now. Malik Monk, I don't think is a Warrior kind of player, but it's somebody like that, honestly. Somebody like that can fill it up a little bit and get their own in the time that Steph is not on the court. The days of the non-Steph minutes being you're going to win 8-6 over a 6-minute stretch or 10-8 over a 6-minute stretch. Like, to me, those days are over. And you also need to find somebody that, Steph's on the court, but if Steph's on the court, allow for them to be able to kind of run some of the offense and allow for those guys to be able to kind of do their thing with Steph pulling some gravity away to open things up, some driving lanes or some opportunities there. I think that also has to be factored in. All right, let's do 2 more. Let's break. Kyle's like, let's break. So we'll break. 808 KMBR 415-808-5627. We'll come back. We'll do Sounds of Dubs OT, and then we'll do more Kyle's clicks to wrap things up. We'll get our comment of the night as well. Can sneak in a call or 2. Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line is open. and sounds of Dubs OT. Also, straight ahead, Warriors get beat tonight by the Thunder, 126-102. We're talking about it right here on the Sports Leader.
KNBR presents the sounds of Dubs OT.
I can see the headline now. Kerr says Warriors better without Curry.
No class, no balls.
I want to get my joy back. I'm happy here, off the court.
Now here's John Dickinson.
All right, welcome back. Final segment as we get into the 9 o'clock hour here. Dubs OT with JD here in the Sports Leader. Warriors hammered tonight in Oklahoma City, 126-102. The final, so the Warriors are 1-6 on the road. They are 6-6 overall. They play again tomorrow in San Antonio, likely without Draymond Green. We'll see what happens with Steph Curry. Steph telling reporters in Oklahoma City tonight he's trying to be able to play tomorrow. So who knows? Again, I thought everybody got their rest night among the veterans tonight in Oklahoma City. Steph and Jimmy and Draymond no-shows in this game tonight, but apparently you can no-show and then you get a rest night. So we'll see where that leaves Golden State for tomorrow. Obviously, Steph coming off of being sick and maybe was not, as you would expect, 100% in the game tonight. So let's get to some clips from the post-game press conferences. We'll have a couple from Steve Kerr and then a couple from Draymond Green, a couple new ones from Draymond, and then we'll re-rack the clip of the night from Draymond post-game after the Warriors get blown out and really overmatched by the Thunder in Oklahoma City. All right, here's the first one on Steph and Curry from Steve Kerr, talking about Steph's return here after missing the last 3 games.
Well, it's great to see him out there. Didn't surprise me that he wasn't sharp. He hasn't done anything in a week and other than a couple workouts the last 2 days. So glad to have him back, obviously, and glad that he could get his feet wet and hopefully find his rhythm here soon.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes at night to knock off the rust. And tonight, if that was the night, 11 points on 4-13 shooting for Steph. He had 5 fouls. He only played 20 minutes, so he was able to get out there. And again, I think you want to see Steph Curry go out there and play, having only been on the floor for 20 minutes tonight in Oklahoma City. You want to see him get out there and continue to try and push forward and build towards some kind of a rhythm here with the Warriors taking L's over the last couple of weeks at a significant rate. Continuing on, another one from Steve Kerr. What went wrong in this one with the Warriors getting blown out really from start to finish?
We can't come out and be fundamentally lacking and expect to beat the best team in the league on their home floor. So we got to find a way to be more solid, and we'll obviously assess everything like we always do, and we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, and I think there needs to be an assessment who is in and out aside tomorrow with the second of the back-to-back, and sounds like Draymond's out. We'll see about Steph. There needs to be, I think, beginning on Friday, some lineup changes in the games in which the Warriors have everybody. But tonight it really was not enough shooting early, not enough defense really throughout, too many turnovers, giving the extra possessions to Oklahoma City. Foul trouble also as it related to Steph Curry. The Thunder get to the free throw line 31 times. They make 26 free throws, open looks from 3. I mean, it really was an all systems fail. Only 23 assists for the Warriors in this game. Thunder, more of an isolation-based team in general. They end up with 29 assists on the night. The Warriors did force some turnovers as well, but yeah, just too much OKC at every level in this one tonight. All right, let's hear a couple from Draymond Green. Draymond talking here short and sweet to the point on what needs to be done when things are going bad to try and flip the script and turn the page and get back to winning ways.
You got to fight your way out of it, Anytime you hit a little rut in this league, it'll never be easy. It'll never be pretty getting out of it. You got to claw your way out. And right now, that's not the identity of this team.
Yeah, the identity is not to claw out. And again, I hate to be coming off as being, too hard on Draymond, but clawing your way out is not taking a powder tomorrow. I mean, again, I don't mean to be, overly blunt or harsh about it. And I know the Warriors are playing another really good team in the West in San Antonio, and a team that's been right up there among the best in the league to start the year. I mean, they're 8-2 to begin the year and 5-0 at home. They've won 3 in a row. They've added De'Aaron Fox back to the mix. Victor Wembanyama has just been out of this world. So maybe it doesn't matter anyway. And look, if Draymond is banged up and tired, as Steve Kerr has alluded to in the postgame press conference, then guys are going to need nights off. But it's one thing to be frustrated and to say that your identity has to become clawing your way out, and then while you're losing at the rate the Warriors are losing, have to play shorthanded tomorrow because now you have to meet the demands of, well, this is an older team and Steph is still sick and Draymond needs his night. It kind of just snowballs to a point where it's like, when is it going to end in terms of the ability to have your guys together enough to try to maximize the team that you can put on the court and win some games. All right, let's hear another Draymond Green. And Draymond here discussing agendas and how agendas can fit within the confines of a team.
You don't want a team with no personal agendas because a goal is an agenda, and so you got to have some type of personal agenda. But like I said, you got your personal agenda must fit into the confines of the team.
All right, so that is important, and let's go ahead and hear the clip of the night here, because this clip was actually after the clip we just played I believe came after, and Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, that clip we just played came after.
Yeah, you are correct.
We're going to play now.
You are.
So some context on that. We've been playing the other clip, I think at least 2 or 3 times throughout the course of the show here. So that clip about personal agendas came on the heels of the clip of the night from Draymond here, as he was asked what the difference is between the 23-8 finish to last year post Jimmy Butler trade and the way things have gone here for the Warriors to begin this season.
I think everybody was committed to winning and doing that any way possible. And right now, it doesn't feel that way.
So who has their personal agendas? Stay tuned. That's going to be one to monitor here, I think, moving forward in a big way. Look, you can say, JD, don't speculate. JD, you're crazy. But look, when you say something like that, all anybody's going to do is speculate as to who Draymond Green is talking about. I think he's talking about Kuminga and Podziemski. Those are the 2 players on the roster, I think, above anybody else who routinely have either spoken to or played as if they have a personal agenda that may not always fit, or a personal goal that may not always fit with the team goal. Could he be talking about Jimmy? I mean, my goodness, if he's talking about Jimmy, I mean, then this team's got some bigger problems. But I don't think he's talking about Jimmy. I really don't at this particular point. So that's our sounds of Dubs OT for this one. All right, Kyle, let's do some more. Let's do a final round here of Kyle's clicks. Going back to the YouTube chat, it's been a spirited discussion, as it often is. So, yeah, Kyle, you let me know. Maxwell, would Moody, Pods, or JK even get minutes on OKC? I think Moody, to be honest, I think Moody would be the guy who would get the most. Moses Moody among those 3 is the most Oklahoma City type player. He's made himself into a pretty good on-ball defender. He's a 3-and-D wing. Like he is the most OKC player. And to be honest, I think among all the Warrior young players, Will Richard is probably the number 2 most OKC Warrior young player in terms of just the 3-and-D, make the simple play, drive the closeout, keep it moving, can play in an isolation-based type of an offense. All right, from Max to Mickey D, LOL, should have the guys who closed start tomorrow. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't think you necessarily want to do that, but they do deserve a nod, and we've tried to give them a nod here at different points throughout the show, especially early on in the show. Pat Spencer, Guy Santos, GP2, Will Richard, and really TJD were the guys who closed the game. That 5 basically playing majority of the fourth quarter, and a lot of it together. And so you look at those guys, and they ended up winning the fourth quarter for the Warriors and made it look a little bit more respectable. But I think as far as tomorrow goes, if Steph's going to be out there and Draymond isn't, I think you go Steph, Moody, Jimmy, Kuminga at the 4, and then I would go with, at that point, Quentin Post probably at the 5, because you have to have some size against Wembanyama. And then, you probably have to guard Wembanyama with a wing, the way Wembanyama plays too. I mean, he is just the ultimate in matchup nightmare around the league right now. He has been out of this world. We the champs, babe. Ass whooping coming tomorrow to watch. Well, we'll see. You may lose tomorrow, but if you get thumped the way you got thumped tonight to where it borders on embarrassment, then this team's got some issues that are going to have to be addressed. You can lose, but you can't lose and be as non-competitive as you were tonight in terms of your fight. That is completely unacceptable as we start to look ahead toward tomorrow, regardless of what the outcome. You could lose by 20 tomorrow, and it needs to look a lot more competitive than losing by 24 tonight. That is plain and simple something I'm going to bookmark as we hit the air again right around 7:30 tomorrow night. All right, let's get another one in here. Rebel to Sounds. The Warriors were in the game until the end of the first quarter. Yeah, they were. They were down 7, then they were up 2, and then they were down 3. And then, we talked about that right off the top, Rebel. The fact that the last 6 seconds of the first quarter with the Moody 3 that got disallowed upon further review after the shot clock, and then the Steph Curry first flagrant foul of his career on the Isaiah Joe 3 that led to a 6-point swing and a 9-point deficit for the Warriors. That was something that really, really hurt them, and they really never recovered from as it went toward the second quarter and beyond tonight. But a good point there. Karras and Aaron, I missed the first half. Kind of glad I did. Yeah, well, the third quarter was worse. I mean, the third quarter was worse than even the first half. The Warriors got beat in the third quarter 44-28. It was a classic. I mean, the Warriors were down 19 at the half. They were down 35 after 3. So the third quarter was one of those championship level teams come out and just step on another team, kind of like it really did. And a few people mentioned this on social media and in the chat, even in the early part of the show, Karras, it looked like what the Warriors used to do in 15, 16, 17, 18, when they were dominating the league. They would just come out and put you away when they already had you down close to 20 and just overwhelm you both with their offense and their defense. The Thunder remind me of a young Warriors team 10 years ago. Yeah, in line with that. They do it in a very different way in terms of their style of play, but their defense, I think, is in some ways similar, with a lot of switching and filtering things toward Holmgren, and like the defensive part is the offense is much more isolation based and Shea and draw and kick and can be less aesthetically pleasing at times. But I think the defensive identity is certainly that of the Warriors ilk. Robert Brown, I think a silver lining Greg could give is they didn't lose by 50. That's about it. Yeah. Or even 30 tonight because of the guys who played at the end of the game. Good thought there from Robert Brown. Let's go to Celts Chronicles. It was an unbelievable ride to have witnessed Steph, but Father Time is undefeated. Yeah. I mean, I don't think the Warriors are at the end of the run here, but they got to get this thing turned around fast. And I think they have to figure out a way to function here in the short term. And then they're going to have to make a move once they have the ability to make some moves come the middle of January toward the trade deadline and give this roster a boost that can get them through that second half of the year. I think this team sets up to be a second half of the year team anyway, based on the home games and the lightening of the schedule in the second half compared to the first half. But I also think they have to do one more kind of all in on the now type move to really put themselves over the top to where they can make that run to try to get into the top 6 and make that run to where they can try to be competitive with the other teams that we've been talking about tonight in the top 6, which still are, the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Spurs here early, the Lakers, the Rockets, the Timberwolves. There's a clear-cut 6 right now. The Clippers are in a bad way at 3-7. They're not even in that mix right now. I think they'll eventually come back to the pack, although they look pretty old. But yeah, there is a pretty clear-cut 6 that if the Warriors don't get their act together, they may find themselves with an insurmountable deficit at some point here once they finally are able to have it go. Have it be go time. Joe Schmo, JK for a pick or a guy? Not a pick, a guy. JK for a guy. And I think they're going to have to start looking at moving pods plus somebody. If Buddy Hield isn't going to be impactful like he was at the end of last year, then they have other players that Moody and Richard can be, and Melton, those are all guys that I think can play ahead of Buddy. And so, again, I'm not saying you're going to get a freaking all-star by trading Buddy Hield and Pajemski and or Kuminga, but I do think they need to be looking at trying to that our buddy Reggie and Vallejo, I think, was the one that says they have to condense the trade. They have to do a 4-for-2 kind of a move and have the 2 that they get be rotation players in the regular season, and then they know their rotation for the playoffs. But it's a matter of getting to that point here. JC Mack, funny, we keep talking about how good our 50-plus picks are, but totally screw up the lottery. Yeah. Quentin Post, solid. Will Richard, solid. Draymond, solid. He was, 35, not 50. But yeah, Moody is solid. Moody was 14. Pajemski was 19. I mean, the guy that they just still have not gotten enough of the right things out of, unfortunately, is Kuminga. Although, again, I do give him credit. He is trying to go about it the right way. All right. Wemby will have a feast tomorrow night. Well, Wemby's been feasting on everybody. So I think that's definitely something to keep in mind. How many more we got here, Kyle? What do we want to do here to close it out?
Let's do two
more,
more, and then our comment of the night. So 3 total.
All right. So 2 more. All right. Our first one, Max. The problem isn't a big man. It's a defensive 2 who can stop the ball and shoot. I think it's a 3-and-D wing. I think they need a 3-and-D wing above everything. They need a 3-and-D wing. And I think if there's another thing they need a guard. They need a playmaking scoring guard that they can put the ball in his hands and he can kind of go get his own. Those would be the 2 things I think they need at this point. Mickey D, first gutless 12 games in. I think there will be more. Yeah, every team's going to have 5 or 6 gutless games. Every team's going to have 5 or 6 of them. Gutless. That's just reality. But tonight, play it one more time, Kyle.
Gutless.
Yeah, tonight, without a doubt, was the first
gutless
game for the Warriors this season. And you just hope you don't chase a gutless with another gutless, less than 24 hours later. All right, let's get our comment of the night. We'll get out of here with some fun with numbers. We'll look around at the NBA scoreboard as well here on Dubs OT.
Now, time for the Dubs OT comment of the night.
If JD was at the game, he would have thought of bringing some Kolsch's on the flight back. Yeah, it would have been a heavy Kolsch night. It definitely would have been a heavy Kolsch night. Although we didn't play What's in JD's Red Cup tonight from the home studio. We did not play. It's actually water. It's nothing. It's just plain.
What's in Kyle's water bottle?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We'll save that. Yeah, what's in Kyle's water bottle? I'm gonna guess water.
Smart guess, wise man.
Yeah, good guess, wise man. No, good stuff there from Robert Brown here to close up on our comment of the night. All right, let's get to fun with numbers here in our final couple of minutes and a quick look around the NBA scoreboard tonight here to close out the show.
This is Dubs OT with JD. Time now for fun.
I'm a fun guy.
With numbers.
No, I'm just having fun.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live on KNBR.com and the KNBR app.
All right, 6th straight road loss for the Warriors. Longest road losing streak since, 2 years ago. You go back to November of 2023 through the middle of December of 2023, and that's the last time the Warriors have lost 6 in a row. They actually lost 7 in a row over the span of about 5 weeks there 2 years ago, right around this time, from November the 8th all the way through to December the 14th, going back to a couple of years ago. 6-6 overall. 5-0 home, 1-6 on the road. Thunder lead the season series 1-0, and the Warriors and Thunder will play 3 more times. OKC has won 5 of the last 7 against the Warriors. Warriors back-to-back tomorrow in San Antonio. Warriors lost for the first time in the front end of a back-to-back to begin this season. It'll be the first baseball series with the 2 games consecutively in San Antonio that the Warriors have played on the road since 2021. The Warriors have not had, this is before the championship year. It's interesting. The Warriors have had a couple of these at home where teams have come in and played 2 at Chase Center, but the Warriors have not had the benefit of playing the 2-game set against anybody since May of 2021. Remember, that was in the regular season. That was the year that started right around Christmas, I think Christmas week, and then the regular season ended in May. And then the playoffs ran all the way through the middle of July. Steph comes back tonight, 11 points. Jimmy Butler had 12 in the game tonight as well. 7th time this season in which he's gotten to the free throw line 8 times. He got to the line tonight, but he's got to be more aggressive in terms of looking to score the basketball. And Pat Spencer also with 12 points in this game for the Warriors. Kuminga ended up leading all scorers for the Warriors in this game with 13. But yeah, Spencer 12, Jimmy Butler 12 as well. And you look at that group again with Spencer and Peyton and Richard and Guy Santos and Trace Jackson Davis, competitive in a fourth quarter in a game that was a lost cause for the Warriors overall. All right, that's going to do it. Big thanks to everyone in the YouTube chat tonight. It was just fast and furious, rapid fire on the Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line to begin the show. The phone lines were lit at the beginning of the show. Appreciate everybody who called in right off the rip. That's the way we love to do it. And then get into the YouTube chat and share thoughts throughout the course of the night. You don't have to wait too long. We're back tomorrow, same time, right about 7:30, as the Warriors take on the San Antonio Spurs, one of the up-and-coming young teams in the NBA. Thanks to Kyle Haar in the Daly City studios. Thanks to Jordan Pratari as well. And who else tonight, Kyle? Anybody else tonight?
Two-man show.
Plus minus.
Two-man show tonight. Oh, Kyle Chung's plus minus. Oh, brutal. Even Kyle Chung was a negative tonight.
Yeah, even Kyle Chung was a negative tonight. But thanks to Jordan and thanks to Kyle. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Warriors lose this one 126-102. We'll see you tomorrow, 7:30 on YouTube and Twitch, and on the radio as well. Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader. John Dickinson.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Big audio quality show.
You are a sicko, and I appreciate you for it because I'm a sicko.
I just know they kicked our ass tonight.
No class, no balls.
Everything's gonna be all right. I think everybody was committed to winning and doing that any way possible. And right now, it doesn't feel that way.